Episode 2, featuring the Aether Amalgam system, and our topic today is polyfragmented systems, and we are all 3 polyfragmented systems, so it's going to be a fun night. So, how are y'all doing? Oh, cat. Oh, and peep cat.
I had to throw mine out because she was being annoying.
Oh yeah, that's about how this is going to get. But yeah. So obviously our listeners, if you don't know, which I hope you do know what DID is, you can have many altars.
So many.
And part of being a subsystem... No, why was I saying... What the fuck? No? Part of being a polyfragmented system, not a subsystem. Part of being a polyfragmented system is like having a lot of altars being able to split really easily. Just in general having like... I've seen like it explained where instead of having just like a general protector, a general caretaker, whatever, it's like per situation, like per trauma that like they split versus just like the general people being able to handle it in a, not necessarily handle it, that was like being able to do what they need to do. My cat is being super distracting. But so like we're sitting at just over 150, I think. Let me look at Plural Kit.
Yeah, I'm checking my Plural Kit as well to check our numbers.
Because Plural Kit is the only thing up to date. Simply Plural is not.
Yeah, our Simply Plural is not up to date.
No, I'm checking Simply Plural. That's what is up to date for us. We're at 268.
We're at 157.
Yeah, we're like just shy of 200.
Every name we've ever held is up in like the 180s. But like people have fused out, so.
Yeah.
But, like, with polyfragmented systems, we tend to split more easily as well. And it's a blessing and a curse.
Definitely.
He was like, oh yes, we have people we need, but holy shit, there are way too many people in the brain.
It's like, oh, you'll split off somebody whose specific job is to handle like one specific task. And then it's like, okay, that's nice that task is handled. But now there's a whole nother goddamn person in here.
Yeah, literally.
It's like, oh, we split an altar to do this, but now that thing is over, will that situation ever come up again? Maybe. But they're here now.
For real, it's like, what? Because our brain is like, oh, I know how to make people. I'm just gonna keep making people. I'm just like, can you...
Making people works.
But, sorry, I'm just laughing at chat. But it is super weird being a polyfragmented system. And like, I feel like Aether Amalgam and us, we have a different experience than you guys do, Galaxius, because we experience amnesia while you don't.
Yeah.
So like being polyfragmented and not experiencing amnesia is just like a whole other experience. And so like I don't know, how does that like work, because I know you guys have like a lot more people in the front, like at more at all times.
Yeah, we have like our front room is, it works similar to Inside Out is really the best way to explain it, because there's like a control panel that you can like sit around.
Yeah.
And either like one person can be in control or multiple people can be in control, because everyone's like aware of what's going on.
Mm.
And then a lot of the system sits in the observation area, where they just watch what's going on like within the body.
Yeah.
Like it's on TV almost.
Like I don't know why this is just in the topic of front rooms now. I just want to talk about my front room. Like our front room is similar to the A Systems front room, where it's like a chair and couches. But we actually had someone like really struggling to front, and a gatekeeper literally said, "Grab the controller," and there was literally a gaming controller. And like he literally just started playing with it, and we were just like, okay. We're like, I guess this is how our body works according to our brain.
We also have an observation room. Ours looks like a seaport tavern. I don't know if we've ever talked to you guys about this, but I'm pretty sure the 7C system knows.
Mm-hmm. I think I saw it in The Sims.
Yeah, exactly. But it looks like a seaport tavern. We've got like our tavern room with the chairs and the tables, and everyone there is like in observance. And then there's the bar, and the people sitting at the bar are co-con and have some passive influence, a little bit of control. But the people or person behind the bar and managing the bar is the one that's actually fronting.
Can't tell the polyfragmented system because you're forcing yourselves to mask. Yeah, that forcing yourself to mask is a whole thing, especially when you're polyfragmented. Some people haven't even met the person they're masking as, so they're just like, I'm masking as someone I have never seen before. Or like if they like even if they like fuse out or something, they're just like, and then the new alters still know the mask instinctively, and it's just like, this is someone I have never met.
I'm pretending to be somebody.
It's like, there is a person I am pretending to be right now.
It like reminds me of just like the hello, I am a person thing. Like, isn't that a meme of some sort? Like, what is it?
The audio that's like, I have to go to work.
Exactly, I have to go to work.
I love that audio. That audio is really funny. But being polyfragmented like sucks, because like we can see something one time and just split and alter. We like
exactly,
and that like we're about like 30% interject. Like we're fairly low percentage of interject compared to some polyfragmented systems, but like it just really sucks because like I don't know, for us splitting alters is stressful because we're just like, oh great, another person.
Oh, sweet. No, awesome, someone else is in here.
We haven't gone a day without finding somebody in the past 2 weeks.
Oh my god.
Yeah, at least one person has woken up, like either come out of dormancy or split. So like someone has shown up. We're tired.
Yeah, that
It's
sounds
like that.
exhausting.
Because going through like, when you're polyfragmented, you go through a stressful time in your life, and then you split a bunch of new alters because that's how your brain knows how to deal with stress.
I think it's like a relationship between like CPTSD versus PTSD, where it's like more like a complex DID kind of thing, where like our trauma may have been more like complex or like I don't know. I don't know how.
I think
I'm
it
just
comes from like different
shooting
types
off my
of
brain.
trauma.
So
I heard that the polyfragmentation comes from different types of trauma and
mhm.
will oftentimes come from a lot of like complex emotional abuse.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense for us.
Like we had a lot of like cult and ritual abuse, and that part of that caused us to be polyfragmented because that is some very, very complex
Yeah, emotional.
emotional
Yeah.
and mental abuse.
Like we just had like we went through physical emotional abuse. Later into like our teenage years we went through like an SA, but not in like our formative DID years. Our formative DID years was mostly like emotional stuff. But I feel like because that's just the way it made sense to us in our brain was just like CPTSD versus PTSD, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like that is not backed by science. I don't know if that's backed by science. I didn't look that up. I'm just speaking.
We're just
I'm theorizing,
Again.
man. Let me theorize
Just-
about my disorder.
the theme of the podcast is we're idiots and we have DID. That's our credentials.
It is quite literally. Oh yeah, finding a new alter and then immediately leaking bits of trauma that you don't understand. Yeah, that's oh boy. It's always fun.
Definitely.
Like we've seen like some people that split from like inconsequential things. Like more from like when we were a kid show up, like because they're like ones with like less trauma than other alters, but like because it's like the amount of trauma an alter has depends on the amount of memories they have.
Mm-hmm.
But we get like fate claimed more as polyfragmented systems, and I don't know why.
Oh yeah.
That's very true.
I don't understand why fate claimers have such an obsession with polyfragmented systems.
Because they're like, oh, you wouldn't be able to live your life if you had that many people in your head. And it's like,
joke's on them, I don't.
Exactly.
I am struggling like a mofo.
The struggle is real.
mm-hmm.
Like,
It's like, oh, if you had more than 100 altars, you'd be a case study at a university. I've heard that one said a couple times.
I'm just like, you can literally find people who have thousands of altars. Like, thousands of altars. And it's just because, like, honestly, it's because of all of the shit we went through. It's not our fault we're like this.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And that's, like, the thing is, like, I don't think they get it. It's like, this is not our fault. But we're getting blamed for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like a huge part of fake claimer logic is that like they are not just blaming but putting more stress on people who are already traumatized.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
So they're going to see even more splits, which means even more alters. Like we have gone to the hospital before over fake claiming.
We've split because of fake claiming. Like, we feel that.
Yeah,
Same.
exactly. like the more you fake claim, the more altars we're gonna have, and the more they're gonna fake claim us. Like it's like this never-ending cycle.
Literally. We literally split an altar to deal with TikTok trolls if it got too bad. And, like, not our fault. it's just, like, I don't know, like, what they want us to do about it. Like, it's... it's like almost like we have a dissociative disorder.
Right.
And what are we gonna do? Dissociate!
Yup. But it's just... What were you saying?
Oh, just another thing, like, a lot of polyfragmented systems deal with is, like, because we split so easily, we'll often split people from recent media, and then...
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, this is too new. There's no way you could possibly have already split an altar from this media. And it's like
that is completely possible.
It is
And I have
absolutely possible.
I have discovered that different fandoms will react completely differently. The worst fandoms for people with DID is the Five Nights at Freddy's fandom,
Yep.
the South Park fandom, and the Danganronpa fandom. 3 worst.
Yeah. I bet.
Yeah, someone came into my comments today about one of my fictives. Because we have an Eric Cartman fictive, and I literally explained, I was like, it's not our fault. We literally, like... we just kept emphasizing that. We were just like... Because they were like, oh, that's problematic. And we're like, who said our altar was problematic? Like, because you can be completely different from your source.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. We have a Invader Zim who's a total soft boy.
That's so sweet, though.
Wait, can you, like, dual live with 3 people? On TikTok.
I don't know if you can, like, duet live like that, but you can...
I know you can with 1 person. I don't know about 2.
You can do the
you
guest
have 2
thing.
guests.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just thinking. But... yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous the amount of fake claiming we have to put up with, the amount of just honestly like harassment we have to put up with for being polyfragmented.
Mm-hmm.
But it's and their logic doesn't even make sense half the time. It really doesn't.
It really doesn't.
It really doesn't. It's so stupid. It's not even logic.
For real.
Though it's honestly getting to a point where people are like, I personally find this cringy, so that means you're faking it.
Yeah, like, sorry,
Exactly.
we have a cringy system. Like, sorry, kids have stereotypical worldviews as kids because they don't have exposure to other things.
I'm sorry that you find my 12 Legends of Zelda fictives cringy. Like, what do you want me to do about it?
It's like, we found comfort in something, and now we have fictives of it, so, oop, you're cringy, so too bad, you're faking.
Exactly.
We literally have 7 Twilight altars. Because it came out during the height of our trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, we're gonna split. And so we have, like, 7... We literally have 7 Twilight altars that have been in the body since we were 9, 10...
Ish.
And, like, anywhere from, like, 8 to 10. But, like... it's not... Again, it's not like it's our fault. Like, and like, I know with autism, one of the things that can be seen is like mirroring television.
Mm-hmm.
And so if a system who also has autism mirrors television, boom! That's just a recipe for an alter.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because what happens is when you dissociate, whenever you dissociate, even sometimes if it's not from trauma, you can still end up splitting an alter.
Yep.
If your dissociation is heavy enough, and then if you're autistic, you dissociate while you watch TV a lot.
And like, okay, never mind. My thought got taken from me. Gotta love
I just
when
have
it's
like
It's not stolen.
Zoop. I have like this image of like a mixing pot that's just like boiling, and like altars are getting ready to form. But my brain is, I like to say that my brain is very uncreative, and that it like almost needs a source to form fictives from, because it just doesn't want to think of brain-made altars because it's lazy.
You literally can't come up with a new face. That is something that is like, I'm pretty sure that's this. I could be wrong, but I'm like, I heard that as like a kid.
Yeah,
like
I've heard that fact before, that like it's impossible to come up with a new face.
To come up with a new face. And
Yeah,
I think that's why we see our fictives more clearly than our brain-made altars.
Yeah, exactly.
Until we give them like a pit crew or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can see them, and you're like,
and
oh,
then,
okay.
And
so
then it's just like, okay, this is, or like a sim or some external source for them to see themselves on, and then the
Because
brain
it's not
is
like they
like,
can look
oh,
in a
okay,
mirror.
I know what you look like now.
Yeah. Before it's just kind of like it's fuzzy, and their faces will be kind of fuzzy. It's really weird.
Yeah,
But like,
I'm so glad I'm not the only one who has that experience.
And like, altars can be in the making and not fully form until like way after the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Sorry, I'm so sad this is clogged.
Oh, it's always the worst.
But literally, like, the more stuff you go through, the more altars you're gonna split, whether you know it or not. Because like last year we thought we had 6 altars, but it's because our system was in survival mode and hiding everybody. We split so many altars last year that we just didn't know about until this year, because our brain was hiding them from us.
Mm-hmm.
And
like, we only found out about our system this last year, and
like, we knew about 1 in 2018, and then we hit 2019, and then we got up to 6, or no, we got up to like 4 in like 2019, and then by the time my mom passed in May of 2020, we were at 6. And she had met all 6 of us at the time. And, but then our brain went into survival mode and just hit everybody. And so, like, I don't think people realize, like, that's something that can happen, too. Is, like, we can just, like, lose track of people or split people we don't even know about, and then they can just show up later when they're like, you're ready to know now.
it's like, oh, you can be aware that I exist now.
You are ready to know the greatest secret, young Padawan.
And I think that's part of why, and like, they're like, oh, how do you know you split? It's like, because we're constantly paying attention to who we are now.
Yeah.
Is because we know that if we lose track of who we are, we're going to lose time.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, how do you have so many altars? And we're like, because we're looking.
Yeah, it's because we're paying attention.
You have to monitor it.
Yeah, and and I just don't understand how people are like, you can't have this many altars, blah 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 blah. And I'm just like,
That's a good way to describe it.
This is
Mm.
it's like
Mm.
Ing intensifies.
But like I don't know about you guys, but we have like clusters of altars. So it's like I not even necessarily due to like similar trauma, but whether it be like source or altars that are like closer to the body for some reason or like whatever. And so it's like our altars kind of like go into their own little cliques. Which is super weird, and we want to map it out so bad, but it's so complex and we don't know how to place people, and it's just, oh my goodness. Like, we would love to map our system, but it's just,
It's so big, it's so stressful.
it is.
It is stressful when it's that big.
It's easy to map fusions. It's so easy to map fusions because I know exactly who was where. But like with fusions, we've had the same experience of like once our brain knew that it could do it, it's just started going. So like we've fused like almost 30 people in 3 months. Which, I mean, we know systems who have fused more than that in a less amount of time, but like it's absolutely like. And we were talking to Cosmic Meatbag System and the Wild System, and they have like a lot longer experience with their systems, and they were like talking about how like how much control they have, and they're like, you have more control than you think you do. Yeah. And like, so that has helped us with fusions, is because we are trying to like look through the system and see who's willing to fuse, and like seeing who would be a good like pairing, and trying to influence it as much as we can. Obviously we can't like purposefully like be like, okay, we're just gonna fuse these two people, but like we can like tell the brain kind of what to do. It's like once the brain's aware,
it is even possible to have altars whose job it is to tell the brain to fuse altars and to kind of like force fuse altars together. Like we've seen that happen in systems as well.
Yeah, like so fusion is just a whole is just a whole other bag of worms, and it's like, and it's completely normal if you've never fused or had an integration. Like that's completely normal, especially if you haven't really gotten out of a trauma situation.
Yeah, a lot of people don't want to, especially fake clippers, don't want to acknowledge that a lot of systems are still going through trauma.
For real.
Or that like, even being a system itself is very traumatizing, and that you could still be experiencing traumatizing stuff.
It is, like, it is so disorienting when I'm fronting and then someone drives somewhere and we're somewhere else.
Like, that's scary. Waking up on the road and you're on the interstate going 80, and you're like, I have to drive now.
You're just like, oh, wait, where am I going?
That's traumatizing.
And, like, literally, it's just like, we call it teleporting, because that's basically what we're fucking doing. But, like, it's just like, there's so many times where we're, like, we know we have to do something that day, and then we'll just wake up in the middle of, like, doing that thing. And just, like, suddenly be conscious in the middle of doing that thing. Because, like, there was one time when Fried was still in the system that he just showed up at our grandma's and was just like, oh, great. I teleported, and our grandma was like, you didn't remember that? And we looked at her dead in the face and went, no.
No.
But it's super weird telling family being a polyfragmented system too. Especially
absolutely.
Because, like, I don't know about y'all, but like we've had a lot of host changes, we've had a lot of stuff like that happening recently. And so like trying to like keep our family informed of what's going on is because like we know what we're saying sounds like bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
We know what we're saying sounds fake. Because it feels fake.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even feel real to me half the time.
Literally. And that's like, imposter syndrome is so bad with
It
DID and
is.
OSDD.
Absolutely.
That's like part of the disorder.
But people like don't understand. They're like, do people who are faking even know they're faking? And then that just puts more thoughts into our head.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, look, we are, like, in all three of our cases, all three of us are diagnosed, and we are all, you know, privileged to have that. But it's like, we all have the diagnosis. We all know we have this disorder. We can all look at that diagnosis and be like, we have this disorder, but it still feels so, like, not real.
Really?
It can feel ridiculous at times, almost.
For real. Especially, like, you get into, like, the complicated altars where, like, you get into, like, okay, I'm just gonna, like, out myself real quick. You get into, like, pregnant altars and, like, things like that, and it feels so fake. But but it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, like being the host and seeing all of these altars, I'm just like, damn. but it's like, I don't understand the fake claimer logic on, like, types of altars either. Because, like, especially if you're polyfragmented, you're going to have more diversity in a bigger system. Because it's a bigger number. You're going to have more diversity. So they're like, oh, but, like, no non-humans. And we're just like, a lot of our system is non-human. Oh, well, that's a group we need to put into simply plural, is non-humans. So
our system is majorly non-human.
I want to, like, literally go through this right now, but, like, I also don't want to do that. Non-human. I did not type John Human. I said non-human. Okay. So, do your gatekeepers feel like human, or do, like, they feel like gatekeeper is like a separate thing? Because our gatekeepers feel like gatekeeper is like a separate thing than human, because they do not identify with human.
We have one human gatekeeper and then one non-human gatekeeper, but gatekeeper to us is just a role. But I get how your gatekeepers can feel like that.
It definitely depends on the gatekeeper for us, because we have a lot of gatekeepers and some altars who have, like, partial gatekeeper abilities. But again, we have, like, a majorly non-human system.
Yeah.
A lot of our system is like, oh, we're demons or angels or stuff like that.
Yeah. Like, we have a lot of humanoid non-humans.
Yeah. We have, like, a lot of elves, or since we have,
our
like,
big one is vampires.
Yeah. To where they're human-ish, but not exactly.
Yeah. And
or they're humans that have superpowers.
People question the vampire altars, but the funny thing is, like, the vampire altars, like, don't eat. They don't, like, it's weird. Like, they do, like, it's like they don't go around being like, oh, I'm a vampire or whatever. Because that's the thing. I mean, I stand corrected. Claude did when we were in the 4th grade, and the teachers found it problematic. But the teachers were genuinely concerned, and we were like, did you not think anything was going on?
Rawr, I'm a vampire. Kind of like the wolf girl on TikTok, like the bark bark girl. Exactly that.
Literally. We had a werewolf phase too, so we know someone's gonna come up from that. We have those memories. We're just not sure who they belong to. It's going through the
Memory
timeline.
unlocked, POV hidden.
Do you guys have a lot of memories in third person?
Yes. It's like I'm watching it.
It's super weird. Because that's what we have. We have a lot of
to,
memories in third person.
That's how we have to sort our memories, like whose memory it is if you
If you were the first person.
Yeah, if you're in first person, then that's your memory. But if you're in third person, then you're just being given that memory.
It feels like a lot of times just like watching a movie.
Yeah.
We actually have a role called the narrator that narrates everything that we do, and it's always in third person.
So like the question we ask people is like, do you have like an internal voice that calls you you? And that's the question we ask people whenever someone is like, I don't know, thinking they're a system or something. We ask them that. I don't know, like, because that's just like I've seen like to be a universal experience.
One thing that we like to ask people is if they have an internal monologue or an internal dialogue.
But I've seen internal dialogue with people who don't have DID.
Yeah.
I just know it's a lot more common in people with DID rather than like,
yeah,
because I have had people answer with monologue.
I've had
multiple
people answer with monologue as well. I've had people answer with monologue as well, and I'm just like, that is a foreign concept.
Yeah.
And like, I know aphantasia is a thing, like the thing where you can't see like in the mind. And like we're boggled by that too.
Yeah.
We might have partial aphantasia because our visualization at the very least is extremely poor.
That's fair. But like we dissociate into our inner world and can see that like perfectly fine. So like that's like we want to know, like, I want to meet a system with like full aphantasia and see like if they have an inner world and if they dissociate into it and things like that, and see how if that affects like.
At least for us, I know it has it so that our inner world is very broken up. It's not like fully formed. Because we've never been able to like fully dissociate into the inner world.
Ours is very,
and we don't
like,
have memories from our inner world.
Ours is very small. It's literally like the forest has like a square border, like a chunk around it. It's very small. It's almost like the walls
Minecraft
are painted.
chunk inner world.
Yeah, it's almost like the walls like are like, you know how they have like the fake. You can have like the fake walls and some things, and it just looks like a real sky. It's like that's kind of what it looks like in our inner world.
Invisible video game barrier.
It's just like simulation walls in our inner world, and I fucking hate it. But not like different altars have different access to our inner world.
I think it's set up so because our host is still not allowed to know certain things in our system, we don't have a lot of inner world access, at least at the moment, because if the front knows it, then the host knows it, because everyone in the system knows it.
That's how we are as well.
We've had altars front and talk about things in the inner world, and the host will be like, wait, what? Because our host is always in the front room. And we have altars that we call them headspace dives, and that can headspace dive and go into the headspace and explore and stuff like that. Like, my favorite example is when Denki was talking about the cafe, and it doesn't have a name or anything like that. He just calls it the gay cafe for some reason.
That's beautiful.
But he was like, oh yeah, I was like, another thing, altars dating.
Altars,
he was like, I was going with my
too.
boyfriend to the gay cafe. We were just chilling, and It's run by Animal Crossing characters, and Nico was like, there's a cafe run by Animal Crossing characters in her headspace. And Dinky was like, yeah.
Like our headspace isn't that complicated. We have like sorry, I'm the one that needs to talk about this. We have the tower is like a circle, obviously, so it's like a circle tower. The first floor has like a room that is like a projector screen where we can like visualize our art. And I don't know why that's a thing in our headspace, but it just is. And it's not even a TV. It's a projector screen on like a canvas.
That's cool though.
We also have just the rooms up top. For some reason there's a gym on the bottom floor. Chad. It was Chad's choice. Gotta love being uploaded information. Whereas like, and then all of the rooms going up, and then there are speakers around the center, because it's like a circle with, and then it has like the rooms outside, and then the circle is like hollow, so you can see all the way up the tower, which is like really freaking trippy. But and the speakers are very often misused by Chaos and Arson.
Sounds about right.
They're the ones who like to shoot thoughts to the front. But like, alters who get fake claim for accent changes too, like that is also bullshit. I hate that.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, your accent sounds so fake. It's because it's not real.
It's because our child mind who split, like, especially if they were like formed earlier in life, it's like our mind who split it was like a very bastardized view of like what it is. Like it's not our fault that our brain has schemas. Mm-hmm. Like,
it's like I've never actually met a British person in my entire life.
I consumed British media. That's the only reason. Length.
So of course our British accent is going to be bad.
Yeah, and like we've only consumed British media, and that's like why our accents are like they are.
Yeah.
Is because it's like we grew up as like mirroring TV. And so our brain was like okay, we have the capability of doing an accent. And so our brain made alters with accents, just kind of you that just yoinked that trait. And like different pitches in voice too. Like that one gets us. Like, people don't notice our change in pitch usually. Mm-hmm. Even if at work, if we're not masking, like, we literally will have male alters that are talking like this or lower. I can't mimic it well because I am not one of them. But like you get one of the guys out here and their voice is like super low. And they're like, you're faking. And I'm just like, no one around me notices.
Exactly.
I'm like, I barely notice half the time. I don't even notice when I change accents half the time. That's just how oblivious we are to switches right now.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried recording on like Simply Plural and stuff like that, but it is so hard.
It is.
Yeah.
Because knowing who you are 24/7, no, thank you.
No.
Yeah.
It is a dissociative disorder. We are constantly dissociating.
Exactly.
We're constantly in a state of somebody's moving the body.
Don't know who it is, but somebody
Whether it be the shell or or an actual person, it be how it be. But it's just and what is it with people saying that all DID systems look the same?
Exactly. I saw one of my friends got fake claimed because she didn't look like the rest of us.
People say, like, why do all DID systems look like you? And I'm just like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right?
I'm like, the only other DID system that looks like me that I know about is in the Discord call. People either think we're siblings or dating, and there's no in between.
Yeah, we get that constantly.
Oh my god.
But like I literally just don't get it. Like, fake claim logic constantly contradicts itself.
Oop. It really does. They will at the same time be like, if you have DID, it's so covert that you don't have it, but then simultaneously say, you have to know you have DID if you have it. Because
it's like, oh, it's so covert you'll never know, but it's so debilitating that you can't live your life at all.
Exactly.
But like, the second the fake claimers see this podcast, they're gonna be like, you're one person, and I'm just gonna be like, I'm masking.
Masking. I switched like 7 or 8 times just throughout this entire thing, and we're still just masking because it's easier.
Literally same. Like, we do that for like work and everything like that. It's just a lot easier. And like, just to maintain a conversation, it's easier. Like, unless it's something system specific, then we like switch. But like we've switched a handful of times.
Yeah.
Same.
Oh, and people are like, if you have DID, switch for me. Oh my god, I fucking hate that.
Right? It's like, it's not
We
an
can't
on-command thing.
We're not a circus act, guys. Like,
right?
Exactly.
We are a human being for the most part. But it's just like, it's like ridiculous.
Another thing I know that'll get you fake claimed a lot is if you talk about like having subsystems.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have like 4. Like, but they don't, like, they've like integrated themselves into the system, so like we're like one big system, but we were like 4 systems.
Yeah.
But it's like our inner worlds aren't separate anymore, like things like that.
Yeah.
Subsystems are systems within systems, so like an altar can have DID in and of like the system itself. Or it's like another system just separated from the system, like it just like having more than one system in the body.
Like, we have an altar, Lilith, who honestly to this day we're still not sure if she just age slides or if she has a subsystem, because she has like different set ages that she'll slide to, and she's completely different, and she'll refer to herself like she'll refer to like her younger self when she's older as like a separate person.
Honey, I think that's a subsystem.
So I'm pretty sure it's a subsystem, but we're also constantly like, but are you just an age slider though? Because of the constant denial.
That's fair.
That's totally fair.
Yeah, like, okay, so someone in chat saying that they get fake claim for changing, like changing outfits to be more grounded. But then we get fake claimed for only having one aesthetic. And I'm like, I'm sorry, we're broke.
Money.
And also we just switch so much that it's almost completely useless.
We switch so much
to change
too.
every time we switch.
Yeah,
we dissociate so heavily from our body that we forget what we're wearing half the time, so people don't really care about like a personal style.
As long as it's not causing me any sensory issues, I'm good.
Yep.
Like, we're wearing jeans and it's starting to be like,
Mm.
or starting to be like, change. But it is just the... Yeah, and people get mad that we're overt on TikTok, but then we'll get mad that we mask in real life.
Yeah.
What do you want? And that's our thing, is that's why we're unapologetically ourselves, is just because, like, we're not gonna please everybody. If
Ever.
like, yeah, ever, literally. And
that's one of the things about being like out as the system, is people are gonna fake claim you. People are gonna be like jerks about it.
literally, like, half of the people we come in contact with don't believe us, including people in real life, and people who have known us since high school and family and things like that. They don't believe us.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, this is a literal mental disorder, dude. Like, sorry to fucking break it to you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's... But then they complain that we switch too slow, or switch too fast, or switching doesn't look like that, or whatever. And there's no criteria for what a switch looks like.
There's really not.
There is no criteria for what a switch looks like. It can, and like, thing is people fake claimed the hell out of someone for switching by putting their head down, and we do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, especially if a gatekeeper is involved, we will literally have our head just go drop.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't do anything about it. We've thought about moving our security camera from outside into our office just so you can see switches and uploading them.
Yeah.
But then they're going to be like, oh, fake claim. They're going to be like, oh.
It's like, oh, you're obviously playing it up for the camera.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I can't play it up 24/7.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like, we've had a lot of switches during some of our live streams where we've had to, like, stop and take off our glasses and start and, like, rub our eyes and, like,
for real,
take a minute to switch.
Yeah. But
and then other times it can be like somebody just jumps into the front because they got, like, suddenly pulled there.
Oh yeah, people think like jump fronting isn't a thing, but it's absolutely a thing.
It is totally a thing, and sometimes we'll jump front and then, like, not even realize it.
Mm-hmm.
And as we're talking, we'll just be like, wait a second. Who am I?
Oh yeah, all the time we're just like in the middle of a conversation, we're just like, oh, suddenly I'm someone else, sitting in the body, because they're like, it's a covert disorder. Not even we're supposed to know we have it, so of course there are going to be switches that we don't know about.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're like, oh, okay, it's a covert disorder, but it's an overt disorder. Like, you either, like, make up your mind. That's our thing, is the logic is just so inconsistent.
Exactly. And I think my least favorite type of fake claimer are the self-proclaimed psych student fake claimers.
Yes!
I hate them so much. It's like, I'm studying psychology, and I'm like,
You're
sorry,
the last
time
person I want in psychology.
Yeah, I'm like, first of all, I really hope you don't get your degree, because people like you do not deserve to have psychology degrees, because you're going to hurt people more than help them. And second of all, I don't even believe you. Like, I'm studying psychology. Really? You want to see my medical papers? Prove that you're in school. Like, a lot of times, those are just kids lying. And it drives me crazy.
And, like, the ones who actually look college age and, like, are like, oh, yeah, I'm getting a psych degree. Someone literally told me that it was about the Wonderland system specifically, but, like, their type of DID, which is basically polyfragmented, kind of cringy. Like, we're cringy. It's fine. It's a social construct. It's okay to be cringy.
Exactly.
But, like, literally, like, we show a lot of the same, like, complex symptoms that the Wonderland system does. And so they were saying like, oh, but not you. And I'm just like, no, you are talking about me.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, we're talking about people who, systems who it seems like they're obviously faking. So you're talking about literally every system, because every system is told that they're obviously faking.
Yep.
Exactly.
We go back and forth between we and us and I and we, and like, but like I, we, us, we go back and forth. And that's something we get fake claimed on a lot. They're like, oh, you said we got you, you're exposed. And I'm just like, you act like I'm not masking half the time in real life. So if I'm not masking, I'm gonna, like, fuck up what I'm saying. Because, like, I fuck up what I'm saying when I'm
about just myself.
I fuck up what I'm saying when I'm masking. I say we all the fucking time in front of people who I shouldn't say we in front of. They're probably just first-year psych kids who think they figured out how the world works and would literally have to relearn everything the next year because their first-year psych is just a false safety bubble. Literally. Everything you learn in first-year psych is bullshit. Because it's all, like, the really, really, really early theories in psychology. Which is why they need to teach early classes in psychology need to be in current psychology. So we don't have people going around spreading all this fucking misinformation. Because, like, yeah,
that'd be too much work.
I took 4 psych classes, okay? Like, I'm not fucking kidding, I did. I don't go around saying that shit. Because I'm, like, you're like, I know better than you. I'm just like, no, you don't. You are still learning. Until you have a license, you cannot diagnose anybody. And once you have a license, you are bound by an ethical code. And if you fake claim somebody, you are breaking that ethical code. Because you are then diagnosing somebody outside of your clientele. And so all these psych students, I hope their future employers see these TikToks.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I still remember one of the ones that we got was like, oh, my partner is a psych student and she doesn't believe that your case is legitimate. And it's like, that's cool and all, but your partner isn't my fucking therapist
or psychiatrist or even anyone that knows me.
One we saw was the partner of a DID system saying that even DID systems calling themselves we was cringy, and I was just like, they were a partner of a DID system, and the DID system they were with agreed with them, and I'm just like, I'm mad at you.
We do not claim this one.
We do not claim this one. The singlets need to take him.
Singlets, take him away. That's another thing, is I made a video and people were like, people really get mad over this? I'm like, yes, is that singlets get mad at being called singlets.
They'll be like, oh, singlet? They're calling us a slur. I've heard that one. And it's just like,
yes! Gives me the same energy as
an identifier.
Oh my god, yeah.
Exactly. It gives me the same energy as cis people saying that cis is a slur.
Literally.
Ajax made a video like that a while ago where it's just like, what was it? Singlets that get mad at getting called singlets have the same energy as cis people that get mad at being called cis.
Exactly.
Or the...
It's like, well, you used it derogatorily. I'm like, I know I did.
And I am allowed to do what I want.
Exactly.
It is my life.
Like that meme that's like, no, such and so from the band Korn, you're not allowed to use the F slur. Oh, but I'm using it as a slur.
It's like, you're not allowed to use this slur. You can't reclaim the F slur. You're not gay. I'm not reclaiming it. I'm using it as a slur.
Oh,
exactly.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember how it went.
I knew what you're talking about. Just, we have, like, 2 alters that will just have memory bank of TikTok audios. So they'll just be like, it's this one.
I got you. Thanks, memory bank altars.
Because they're the emotional protectors who are, like, the memesters. So, I gotta love that.
Us, but with our social altars.
Do you ever just appear?
Hello!
Hello and welcome.
Most of our switches tonight have been really subtle, but that one was not.
Oh, you know what's the most fun? Is when you're sitting in your room when you're sitting like in your room with all your stuffed animals around you, and a little is trying to push to the front because they want to show off the stuffed animals. They're like, "Let me in."
I literally just had to yeet a little out of the front.
Oh my god, we had a little like up front for like 0.2 seconds. Like, hello, we're like, nope.
Literally. That's why most of theirs stay in the net.
Yep.
They like having the collection and knowing it's there.
Yeah.
There are certain ones that are in the bedroom though, because they're like, these ones are our cuddling stuffed animals, and we're like, okay, that's fine. You can do what you need to do.
Last night at like midnight or 1 a.m. we like woke up in the middle of the night and Little was in the body. The Little went and got our old baby doll and was playing dolls at like 1 in the morning.
That's fantastic.
And I woke up with like this pretend diaper bag and a baby doll in my bed. And I'm like, okay, it looks like someone was...
We found a little
Like
last
dolls.
night. We found a little last night because we had fruit snacks.
Oh my god!
We got off of voice chat with Galaxius because we just VC all the time. So we got off of voice chat with Galaxius, and suddenly she was there, and she was like, "Oh, I'm none of the other littles. Oof." and it was literally because she saw the fruit snacks, and we're just like,
oh man, that makes me want fruit snacks, dude.
Like, she's been here before. She just like woke up because she was just like, fruit snacks.
Fruit snacks.
Fruit snacks. I would like those.
And we were just like, okay, we got the fruit snacks specifically for the littles, so you can have them. And she was like, awesome. She just bashed the fruit snacks. But do you guys have any like closing thoughts on like being polyfragmented, or anything that we talked about?
We had an altar yell from the back of the headspace. It sucks, but that's about it.
Yeah.
The general consensus is, yeah, it sucks.
If anyone says this disorder is fun, they are lying to you.
Exactly.
Because it's not. But polyfragmented systems are valid as hell.
Yeah.
We're here, we exist.
We're here, we exist.
We do.
And if you want to debate that, you can debate that with all of our care teams, because we're all fucking diagnosed. Because we're the privileged people that can do that. Luckily. But that does not invalidate those who do not have a diagnosis either. Because we were undiagnosed for 3 years. It took us 3 years to get a diagnosis. Like we know, like the process is a pain in the ass. That could be a whole other podcast in of itself. It's just diagnosis.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But anywho, thank you for coming out to the podcast.